We are very, very honored to have you. That's very nice of you to accept our invitation.
Thank you very much. Thrilled to be here.
Thank you very much. I am, as you know, we are Persian TV,
Yes.
and you know probably Persian people. They have lots of property in Los Angeles, and they all love you, and they want to know what you are doing. So
Surely.
I have few questions, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I want you to, first of all, explain for us what Assessor does that. What is your responsibility, if you don't mind?
Sure. A little bit about the Assessor's Office. We are the largest local property assessment agency in the United States. There are 1,400 employees. We have a budget of about $200 million, and we are responsible for assessing the value of 2.5 million parcels of property every year. It's valued at about $1.5 trillion, and it's the foundation for the property tax system. We generate about $14 billion in property taxes, which pays for schools, roads, libraries, parks, and a variety of other public services.
Great. Are you covering just the LA area, or you're California?
All of Los Angeles County. There's 58.
Just Los Angeles.
There's LA County, which includes 88 cities, about 81 school districts, and dozens of other what they call special districts, like water districts, library districts, and each one of them get a piece of the property tax dollars. In California, every county, and there's 58 counties, each county has an assessor. And it's the California Constitution requires each county to have an elected assessor.
Okay, great. So you said 88 city is in Los Angeles, and you do the property tax for business and commercial and residential?
Yes,
or just
commercial and residential. So we assess all land and buildings. We also assess what's called business personal property, which means furniture, equipment, and machinery for businesses.
Exactly, yeah.
So, we do it for all 88 cities and the unincorporated portions of the county. So LA City is included, but so is Lancaster, Long Beach, Calabasas to Claremont.
Okay. Well, I would like to say it for Persian people. Mr. Jeffrey Prang was a councilman for West Hollywood, and four-time mayor for West Hollywood. Right now, he's the assessor for Los Angeles County, and we are very, very pleased to have him because I know him before you be elected for assessor, and I am following, and you are doing a lots of things for the community. I know you are so active in many areas. So what I would like to ask you, what is taxable, what you are taxing again?
So there's, as you know, in this country, there are many, many, many taxes. There's income tax, there's sales tax. My department deals exclusively with property tax. And it's important, though, that I don't actually collect taxes. There's another department. It has a very intuitive title. It's called the tax collector. So what my department does is we establish the value. We are appraisers. We determine the value of homes, businesses, vacant land, and business personal property, such as furniture and equipment. We establish the fair market value, which becomes the foundation for property taxes. So once we establish the value, another department called the auditor controller, they apply the tax rates, and then the other department called the treasurer tax collector, they issue the bills and collect the taxes. And then the taxes go to local government. For instance, public schools get about 40% of every dollar. Municipalities, cities get some, it differs from city to city, but let's say about 20%. The county gets about 20 to 25%, and then special districts split the remainder. So that's how
that works.
Exactly.
I think you answered my question. My question from you was, what type of property does the assessor appraise, which you said land and
business
building?
Property. Yep. So
And
pretty much
the furniture in the offices is yours too?
Yes.
You
Yes.
assess them?
We do.
Oh,
Furniture, equipment, and machinery
okay.
is assessed. That's only for businesses, though, not for residential.
How often you do that?
So for land and buildings, we reassess property upon a transfer. And a transfer means
Selling,
when
new
sold.
owner,
A new owner or a change in ownership. So if you own property and you get a partner and you add your partner to the deed, that's considered a change in ownership. So that's when we reassess. The other time we reassess is under new construction. So if you have a house and you want to build another bedroom, we will assess the new bedroom. We won't reassess the whole property, just the new construction.
So how you do the assess? You let the homeowner knows you are going knock the door, I'm here
No.
to assess, or you sit in your air-conditioned office and decide?
So there's two ways we get our work. One is another county department called the Registrar Recorder. When you sell your house, you record a deed. And they provide us a copy of all deeds.
Oh, okay.
And so we look at those deeds to determine whether or not it is reassessable. The other way is with new construction. And with new construction, construction permits are issued by the city. So the city is required to give us copies of all new construction permits. We then examine those new construction permits to determine if the type of construction qualifies as an assessable event. So sometimes, for example, if you are remodeling your kitchen or putting on a new roof or putting in solar panels, we don't reassess that. But if you add square footage, if you make your house bigger, if you enclose a porch, that's when you would be reassessed.
Okay, so, but the question is, the increase of the property tax every year is based on what? Do you guys have a formula you go, or
Yes.
you go with the market, or?
So the way it works is that when you purchase your property, we establish the fair market value, and we call that your base year. And that will be your base year for taxes for as long as you own the property. If you purchase your house for $500,000, your base year will be $500,000 forever, as long as you own the property. Your taxes never go up, sort of. So every year there is a cost of living that's allowable, but that's capped at 2%. So your taxes will never go up more than 2% per year. We call that a trended base year. So it's $500,000 plus a maximum of 2% a year after that. But your taxes are never, we never decide that your $500,000 house is now going to be assessed at $700,000. That just doesn't happen. The year that you buy your house, that is your base year. And that's what your taxes will be based on as long as you own it. If you add square footage, your property taxes will go up to account for that change. If you change ownership, if you own it with your sister, and your sister no longer wants to be on the deed, and you take her off, then we will reassess the property and it will go upward.
So why, if this is the same thing, but just the ownership is changed, what makes it?
That's what the law says. In California, property valuation and taxes are established under what we call Proposition 13. And the law says that your property will be reassessed only upon a change of ownership or new construction. So if you change ownership and changing the deed, changing even if it's a family member.
That's the law, it has to be reassessed.
Even if it's a family member, except with some exclusions. So if you as a parent want to give your property to your children, you can do that and not be reassessed. In some cases, you could give it to your grandchildren. But anyone else, brother, sister, nephew, your property would be reassessed if you include them as part of the ownership. Okay.
The question I have, assume I have a building and the previous owner paid $1 million for it.
Yes.
And I bought it $700,000 because for some reason he was in a hot market or for any reason he paid more. So you are gonna assess that building based on 700, and you say no.
We do it. We assess it based on fair market value. So let's say he bought it for $1 million at the height of the market. Then the market slows, and you purchase it for $700,000. If that is the fair market value, that's what it will be assessed at. So the way we determine fair market value is that it has to be an arm's length transaction, meaning it can't be your best friend or your family member giving you a good deal. It has to be what any other person would probably pay if they found that, and that becomes your tax base. So we don't look at revenue. Revenue is not part of our decision-making. It is what is fair and equitable.
Okay. Well, something happened to one of our friends, and I would like to share that one with you.
Sure.
Because they definitely told me to ask this question from
Sure.
you. Somebody, when the market was bad, was slow, bought 4 units of those commercial buildings. Okay.
Right.
So, and the price was very low and they bought it option to buy. So
Yes.
they bought it on 11.
2011?
211, yeah. So they said September 2011. So right now, because they bought it, it's not option to buy anymore, they bought it. So your assessor or appraiser guy evaluated, and they said, no, we don't accept that one, but we are comparing to the price right now. And this one is contradicting with something I am asking you. You said you base on, if it's a family member, yeah, I sell it to my daughter very cheap. But if it's a stranger, I'm buying it from a stranger, so there is no game in between, you know.
Right.
So he really asked me to ask you this question to find out why, even it was a record and it was a legal document, why your office did not accept the actual price he paid for it,
So every time there's in the law, there's what we call too technical, it's called a rebuttable. Your purchase price is presumed to be the market value, but it's not always the market value. There could be a whole number of reasons as to why you get a different price than the market value of the property. So when you buy your property, we will do an analysis of that to see if the market price is indeed what you paid for it. And if we don't agree with you that your purchase price was market price, we will enroll what we think is the fair market value. That happens not often, but sometimes. Sometimes people will disagree. You may have paid $700,000, but maybe it's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And so if you pay $700,000 but it's worth $1 million, $1 million will be your tax base, not the $700,000, because we enroll the market value, not your purchase price. Usually they're the same thing. Usually the purchase price and market value are the same, because that's how the market works.
Yeah. Well, with the new law, which they are okay right now to sell the weeds and, marijuana, I know I live in Colorado 26 years. Mm-hmm. But since 2 years ago, the government said, or the state said, it's okay to sell or something, the property tax or any taxes over there is just unbelievable. So my question is from you is it going to happen the same thing in California? And what that weeds has to do with a property tax?
So the cannabis, marijuana will not have
Yeah.
any impact on the way that we do our job. The way that business works is consistent with the way we already do our job. So if you open up a cannabis facility to sell or for consumption, it won't change your property taxes. Your property taxes only change on a transfer in ownership. It doesn't change because of use, only upon a transfer. So if you own a business or you own a building and suddenly a cannabis company moves in, that will not affect your property taxes. It might affect the taxes for the company that moves in, the cannabis company. Let's say they move in and they have furniture and equipment and maybe growing machines. We will assess their business property, but that will be to the tenant, not to the property owner.
Some of our friends, they knew you're coming because we were expecting you for a long time, and I know you are very, very busy. So they asked me to ask you a few questions, and
Sure.
if you don't mind, I guess some of them you already probably answered, but the question they ask is, So since you took over this office, there was a lots of tangible changes, you know, and they wanted to know if the homeowner and the business owner can see those changes, and if, you know.
There's been some significant changes, particularly when it comes to technology. When I was elected 4 years ago, we inherited an old 1970s era mainframe, green screen, DOS-based computer system. So we have launched an effort to upgrade our technology systems. It will be close to a $100 million project. One of the things that we also did was we digitized all of our documents. I told you there's 2.5 million files that we maintain on property. Well, 4 years ago, all those files were in paper form. So we digitized all those, 100 million documents. So now every document is available to any employee on any computer within our department.
That's a big change.
That's a big change. So, and now we've upgraded our website, and we are rebuilding the technology so the website has much more information. It's much more user-friendly. We've converted it all to plain English so the average person can read it. And if you go into our website now and you type in your address, you'll get a picture, you'll get a map, you'll get assessment data.
Great.
You'll get information about taxes on the property. There's a lot of historical property assessment data so you can research and download free of charge. There's a lot of companies that actually use our data and they resell it, like Zillow or Case-Shiller or Redfin. So, it's public data. So I'm trying to make our department more of a tool and a resource for the public so that you can get it directly from us rather than having to get it from third-party vendors.
So if I type the address of this building,
Yes.
it's gonna, what I'm seeing, it shows how many years ago it built.
It's going to show, it'll say when it built, what the square footage is. It might indicate different types of rooms, what the lot size is, what the building size is. It'll have assessment history. You know, when did it change hands, and when do assessments change? It might tell you what the original assessment was, what the time you bought it, what the assessment is today.
It's all public record and it's open to everybody.
That's correct.
That's great. Okay. So when we were talking about real estate, they said there are those in the real estate profession rely on the information they get from your office.
There's a lot of people who are real estate professionals, people who are real estate agents, people in the title business or the escrow business. So we work very closely with them because they need our data. So in the development of our new technology, we are factoring in what their needs are so they can get that information easier because it's a customer service.
So there's a close contact between those people in real estate and your office.
So one thing we do for real estate agents is we actually have a special place on our website where we post information for real estate professionals, where they can get information to help increase their own education about what we do. But secondly, we give them information that they could share with their clients.
Oh, great. Okay. So in California, everybody loves the weather, but unfortunately, it may have sometimes earthquake, which it didn't happen, thank God. But we had a wildfire, we had a mud, you know, and it was so heartbreaking.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you, as a in-charge person in over there, what kind of help you do to these people who they are victim and they lost everything? Is there any help? And how, if my house burn, how you are going to find me to help me? Do I have to call you and get the information, or there is any way you guys get hold of those victim people?
Sure. So my department, we are not what they call a first responder. We don't come out to pull you out of the fire. But after the first responders do their job following an earthquake or a fire or a flood, we will look at your property to see if it's been damaged or destroyed. And because you don't pay the same taxes on damaged or destroyed property, we will lower your assessment in those cases.
Okay.
So there's two ways we do that. One is so taxpayers will come to us and say, hey, my house burned, I want tax relief. And if they don't do that, when there is a fire or a flood, we will identify the geographic area where where the disaster occurred, and then we will automatically apply reductions to those properties.
To their taxes?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you have a property that has worth $1 million and 500,000 is attributed to the building, and the building burns down, we will reassess it to acknowledge that that building is no longer there, it's no longer accessible, and your taxes will go down. And we will monitor that until the property is rebuilt.
Okay, well, these days, I guess there is an increase of real estate, and many people, they cannot even buy anything.
Right.
And I guess the average of the houses is probably around 700,000.
I think the median price of a home in LA County is about 550,000.
Okay.
It's
What i-
countywide.
Okay. What is the area which it has most grow, and what is, do we have?
Yeah, sure. The area that has probably had the strongest growth is the west side of Los Angeles County, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Bel Air, Santa Monica, Malibu.
Thank God we are not in that
Yeah.
area.
Then the place where the property growth has probably been the most restrained is in the Antelope Valley, the northern part of the county. Now, when we experienced a recession in 2008, property values dropped throughout the county. About 1/5 of all properties lost value, and many of them were in the northern part of LA County. About 550,000 properties were reduced in their taxes. Today, there's fewer than 100,000 that are still under this reduced taxation scheme. Most of those are still in the Antelope Valley. These are people who essentially owe more money or paid more money than the house is worth.
Yeah.
And so we also will look at market trends. If the market crashes and property values fall, we will look at your property to reassess it downward.
Okay. Do you have any suggestion for the homeowner or business owner? There is anything we can do to help
Yes.
the community and our government?
So let me give you a long answer to that. When people think about my department, they generally think about their property tax bill. But it's important to remember that property taxes are the foundation for paying for local government services, police, fire, roads, libraries. And that's my primary job, is to assess the value of all those properties and to provide that foundation to provide those services. But there are programs to help people save money on their property taxes, and I administer those as well. And there's programs for homeowners, for senior citizens, for veterans, for the disabled. So the primary one that most of your viewers in LA County should be aware of is called the homeowner's exemption. So if you own your home and that's your principal place of residence, you qualify for the homeowner's exemption. And what that means is that we will lower your assessed value by $7,000 for the calculation of your property taxes. So
7,000?
$7,000 in assessed value. So if your home was a 500,000,
So it's
we will
gonna be
assess it
for
at
93.
Exactly. It'll save you about $70 per year. It's not a whole lot, but
Something is better than
something's better than
nothing.
nothing, and it's very easy to apply. And unfortunately, there's over 400,000 homeowners who qualify who don't apply for it. There's like about $30 million in savings that are available to the public. So if you could go to our website, which is assessor.lacounty.gov, and go to an area of the screen that says Lower My Taxes, and pull up the form for the homeowner's exemption. It's a very easy form. You only have to do it once each time you move, and we will apply that exemption.
Okay. I think the last question I would like to ask is if I own the house or some property and I want to give it to my children.
Yes.
So still we have to pay the same amount of taxes. If I am having a house which I'm living in it
Yes.
right now and I decided to give it to my daughter. So the tax value is going to increase, decrease, same?
Well, it can stay the same for your child. You can give your property to your children, and you can also give them your lower tax base. So let's say you bought your home in 1980 for $100,000, but today it's worth $1 million. and you want to give it to your children, but your children can't afford $10,000 taxes on a $1 million house. Well, the law allows you to give them that 1980 tax base, which is $100,000. You can transfer that to your children, so they'll get the home and the tax base. You have to file what is called a Proposition 58. You have to file. It's not automatic. If we don't know that this transaction...
And how long we have time to do it? If I give the house to my daughter 10 years ago,
They,
it still is good?
We don't, they may be able to apply it, but we don't go back the full 10 years. It would be prospective. You generally have about 3 years to apply it.
3 years,
And then after that, we still might be able to apply it, but it would only be prospective. It wouldn't be retroactive.
Okay. Well, I do want to thank you so much, Assessor, and I know you very closely, and I know how much you work for the community, and we wish you the best, and I guess it's the election time. Is
There's
that
an
right?
election on
Okay.
June
When
5th,
is that?
yes. June 5th.
For
June 5th.
you? Is
For
it 4
me.
years is over?
4 years is almost over, so
My
I'm going
God,
back.
time goes
I
like
tell you,
that,
it
you
really,
know.
it really seems to fly. So I'm hoping to be reelected on June the 5th, so we can continue these initiatives that I started and continue to provide good service to
I
the
am
people.
sure everybody is happy with you, and I'm sure Persian community is going to vote for Assessor Jeffrey Prang. He's very supportive. Anytime we have an event and anything going on, Assessor was there and supporting us, and his office, his employee, honestly, they are very professional, very kind. Very helpful. You call them, they answer very quickly. I don't want to say anything bad about other states, but you guys are much better, because I know 2 states. So, but this one, I have experience on both, and honestly, we are very proud of you, and we wish you the best. And I'm sure if you were a mayor for 4 times, how many times you can be assessor? 2 times?
No, there's
4 times?
no limits, no limits.
Oh, okay. All right. So definitely, would you like to say anything to Persian people, what they can do, where they have to go to support you?
I appreciate that very much. I urge you to vote on June the 5th. You can vote absentee. The polling places you can where you vote, you can find on the county website at lavote.net. You can find out more information about me and the work that I have done as your county assessor by visiting my website, which is jeffreyprang.com.
Yeah, I know. That's, as I said, people are very happy to hear you come over here and explain, or answer some of their questions. We want to thank you so much. God bless you. I'm wishing you 4 more years.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sure Persian people, they will support and they will
Thank you. I'm
vote.
thrilled to have the opportunity to speak with you and the community and tell them a little bit more about what we do at the assessor's office.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. God bless you. Thanks
you,
a
sir.
million.
You're very
Bye-bye.
welcome.